So I've been exposed to the world of gaming ever since I was a kid. Watching those pixels move really interested me. And looking back at my childhood, there was nothing I enjoyed more than sitting on my couch and playing on my Super Nintendo with my brother. It's one of those things that I just knew I loved doing, and most importantly, it kept me on a very sane mind, mostly. The year was, I don't know, I don't remember. All I know is that I was around like 6 years old. My dad had this weird gray box that said Nintendo Entertainment System. All I remember is turning it on and then this screen showed up. I pressed the start button and then it happened. I was this little dude on the screen trying to survive this level. I can't really tell you what exactly called me, but being in this world just made my little mind explode. I mean, it's not a pretty game compared to today's standards, but it called me in a way that I've never felt at the time. Super Mario Bros. Was and still is one of my favorite games of all time. It showed me the basics of games in general and how to overcome obstacles, stomp enemies, find shortcuts, and finish the level in the shortest time possible. This little plumber became the symbol of my childhood for many years. Occasionally, I boot up my Switch and play through at least 1 or 2 worlds, just for the fun of it. Thanks to Super Mario Bros., I get to enjoy the games that I do today. While I started with a simple 2D platformer, it eventually evolved into racing, turn-based, RPGs, first-person shooters, and so on and so forth. Nintendo has been a big part of my childhood, as you can see. So the fact that there's a new generation coming and I'm being a part of it, it makes me feel very nostalgic. The Nintendo Switch was the very first console that I bought with my very first paycheck, with my very first job. So yeah, I was very excited that day. Ever since then, I've been exploring different games on this magical device. In this video, I want to share my favorite memories and moments from the games I've played on this console in honor of the Switch's last couple of months before the release of the Switch 2. And just so you know, this is in no particular order. This is not from like the best to the least best or anything like that. This is just my personal pick. So I really do wonder, what are your thoughts about this? What are your favorite memories? Comment them down below. I'm going to start with number 1, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom intros. It was hard for me to decide which moment in particular was the most memorable of these games. These two are among my favorite games of all time for many reasons. From the story, the music, the gameplay, etc. There is more than one moment where I felt the chills. However, every time I go back to one of these games, these intros just get me. Let's talk about the Breath of the Wild one first. The very first fully open world that Nintendo makes, and man, what a way to intrigue me. Link wakes up without memories and a voice tells him, I got a basic tutorial, some pants, a shirt, and out I was. As I'm writing this, I still get the chills down my spine. The fact that they showed me this whole map and that I could just go anywhere was a mind-blowing moment. The piano in the background and how the camera zooms and pans out is peaceful yet so somber at the same time. Not knowing what the story would entail, but conscious about Link's defeat 100 years before putting me into perspective. I was ready for whatever Nintendo wanted to show me, and boy, they could not top this. Until I think I can talk on behalf of every Zelda fan out there. This was a godsend. How could this be better than Breath of the Wild? Well, let's see the intro, shall we? This is so exhilarating. So, we have Link and Zelda going through these caverns, building up to the discovery of the Demon Lord's corpse in the depths of Hyrule Castle. Link loses all of his power, including the Master Sword, and he couldn't save Zelda either. All of this in a span of minutes. Waking up with a new arm and jumping out of one of the Sky Islands, it felt like I was back with a vengeance. The music is different too. It has a lot more instruments, it sounds more impactful and epic. Why did I include 2 games in one entry? Well, first, it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. Second, my expectations for both of these games were completely different. With Breath of the Wild, it was a let's see if Nintendo can handle this type of game type of feeling. Then Tears of the Kingdom was like, let's see if I can handle this game this time. The expectations set by the almost perfect Breath of the Wild were blown away with the next one. This is one of the perfect examples of how to improve a game with a sequel. Easily one of my favorite gaming moments of all time. A lot of excitement came from the show don't tell approach. It left me with a lot of intrigue and I just couldn't wait to explore this kingdom twice. Now, let's talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, specifically the character reveals. So, Super Smash Bros. Is probably the only fighting game that I'm good at, so naturally, I was keeping up with the franchise ever since Brawl back in the Wii. That's actually how I met my best friend. So I really liked the idea of having characters from other franchises coming to this game, and it was quite refreshing seeing characters like Snake and Sonic in the roster. Then comes the Wii U and 3DS version, and not only did they exclude some classic characters like Snake himself, but the new characters weren't as exciting as I was hoping. Yeah, Cloud and Bayonetta were cool additions, but the rest really didn't click with me. Then comes the roster reveal for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I lost my mind, my best friend lost his mind, the internet loses their minds. It was crazy to say the least. Then the DLC characters came along and yeah, it was something else. The great thing about these character reveals were the countless memes, leaks, and speculations leading to so much attention that every character reveal felt like a moment where the internet stood still. Ever since the everyone is here moment, it showed that Nintendo meant business. It went something like this.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
The thing that I remember fondly was how everyone got together and enjoyed every second of it. The Smash community may not be a wholesome one, but when it came down to showing love for these new inclusions, it was outstanding. I honestly don't think that something like this will ever happen again. I mean, having Banjo and Steve and Sephiroth and all of these weird little characters, it's something that I don't think other fighting games would dare to do. And hopefully in future Smash Brothers games, we can still see more crossovers like this. Now the next point, it's Animal Crossing New Horizons as a whole. So I have a confession to make. I've never played Animal Crossing before playing New Horizons. I mean, I never saw the appeal. The thing was that I never really liked cozy games like this. It was March 2020 and everyone and their mother were talking about this game. There are different factors as to why this game became the comfort game for many, but the main reason was the pandemic. With many countries on lockdown, there wasn't much for entertainment. The Switch became the perfect console to have since it had a really good libraries of games at the time. With all the chaos outside, there was nothing better than opening up the game, listen to some of the most low-key, relaxing music you'll ever hear, and just make this island the best place to live. It connected so many people around the world, sharing costumes, inviting friends and strangers to your island, checking turnip prices every week. I mean, unexpectedly, this game became my thing for many months. I've always thought that playing these types of games are a waste of time. I even made fun of some people back in high school because they played this game, and to them, I say sorry. These games are so necessary for moments where you just want to disconnect. Everybody realized that, and of course, with the internet being as busy as ever, it became a place for everybody to connect in desperate times. And the other reason, the fact that Doom Eternal released the same day as New Horizons was so funny. It became the Barbenheimer event, even before Barbenheimer was a thing. The countless memes, fan art, a really catchy song, which by the way, if you haven't heard of Eternal Horizons, you need to do it now. Of course, after you see the video. It united two very different fan bases and converted it into one. A very surprisingly wholesome community. The power of the internet made it possible. These themes of unity and connection made those times much better. Moments where people were desperate to have some good news, they could rely on these moments. 2020 is remembered as one of the toughest years in history, but this game showed us how to remain connected during the adversities of life. Next up, Metroid Dread. So Metroid Dread is one of my top 5 favorite Switch games. I never thought I'd see the day where Samus would return for a brand new game after so many years without one. I mean, we can argue that Samus Returns for the 3DS were her actual, return, but this was a remake of the Game Boy Classic from 1991, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, so it doesn't really count for me. I do remember playing it though, and falling in love with it, so when Nintendo announced that the same developers of that game were in charge of Dread, I was livid. Watching Samus's new suit and abilities made me so happy. The fact that this was a full 2D platformer with new locations and abilities made it feel refreshing. But what exactly made it so memorable for me? Well, the fact that it was so freaking difficult. Metroid Dread has to be one of the fastest Metroidvanias that I've ever played. The counters, sliding, shooting just felt so satisfying. The exploration is rewarding, the bosses were justifiably difficult, except the final boss. Overall, Mercury Stream did a great job bringing the Metroid franchise back to its roots while also creating something fresh and exciting. The Emmy, however, were and still are the best addition in my opinion. They were controversial for a while because apparently it messes up with the pace of the game, but considering that this is an 8-hour game, give or take, I don't see it as a bad thing. These robotic monstrosities were legitimately scary to face. Feeling powerless in a game never felt so real. When I was finally able to take them down, I remember letting out a sigh so heavily with relief. Then the final boss happened, and oh my god, one of my favorite final bosses in any game, period. I remember listening to the song Sacrifice by the Devil Wears Prada, and I felt so powerful. Dashing, jumping, evading, shooting, it was just exhilarating. But then the best thing about it was the ending. Samus's Metroid DNA takes over and she goes berserk. That's all I'm gonna say. Samus Aran has come a long way, and it's easy to say that she is still one of the best gaming protagonists of all time. Metroid Dread was even supposed to release like way back on the Nintendo DS, so the many years that we've been waiting for the badass bounty hunter to come back was worth it indeed. And last but not least, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. My favorite Mario game of all time is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. I've become very, let's just say critical about 2D Mario. And while there have been some amazing entries, they were not even close to top it. With the new Super Mario Bros. U, it was starting to feel a little stale for me. Considering how the 3D entries were being so innovative and varied, I was starting to think that Nintendo was out of ideas for a new 2D game. Yet again, I was wrong. When they announced Wonder for the Switch back in 2023, I fell in love instantly. The art style, the music, the expressions, it brought me back to the simple days. It brought a lot of fresh ideas to the table as well. When I finally got to play it, I didn't want to stop. The randomness of it all made it feel so fun and quirky, so simple yet entertaining. The integration of the online multiplayer and watching other players going through the levels with me made it feel like a true adventure. The many characters included in this game also was a welcomed addition. I love this game. I love the music. I just love this game. However, there was one thing that at first I wasn't very convinced, and it was the elephant power-up. When I saw this in the trailer, my first reaction was like,
what the hell is even that?
This could make or break this game. I'm very picky with my games, and the fact that there was an elephant power-up, it just felt idiotic for me. What did the developers sniffed for this idea to come to fruition? I tried to be as open-minded as possible, but in the back of my head, I was so scared that I wasn't gonna like it. But like I said, I was wrong. This is one of my favorite power-ups of the whole franchise. It is so useful and fun to use. Attacking enemies, throwing water to them, pushing objects. Again, fun and refreshing. Everything in this game made me fall in love with these 2D Mario games all over again. Easily a very close second place for me after World. Of course, there are a lot more moments that made the Switch so iconic, but these are the most significant for me from a personal level. The Nintendo Switch came in the perfect moment where there really wasn't much expectation. They cooked and delivered in the last 8 years, so I want to celebrate the 100 subs in the most uplifting way possible. I look forward to the future of the Nintendo Switch 2, and by the looks of it, they're not stopping, even with those prices. With an optimistic mind, I invite you to join me and create more moments together with a shared interest, gaming. Thank you all for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing, and most of all, thank you for giving me a chance. My love for gaming has followed me through thick and thin, so I just want to share it with people who understand it. If you want to join me, all you gotta do is subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook and TikTok. You're not going to regret it. Thank you for being here. You'll see me on the next one.